Hello and welcome, ATS2400 personality students. My name is Dr. Lou Cowie, and I have, for our first short video of the first week of semester, which I'm offering in replacement of the classes that have been cancelled through the Monash University novel coronavirus policy, I've decided to try and make the short videos that accompany this week's lecture, week one's lecture, as exciting as possible. I've just had several failed attempts at using the university's software to record it on my laptop, so I'm going to have to run it as a whole 10-minute video, or however long it goes. I had planned to pause and stop throughout, but we're not going to be able to do that, but that's fine. I'll just have to link it all up via the well, not the old-fashioned method, but the new-fashioned method of iPhone technology. I find myself at Point Addis on Victoria's surf coast, some 120 kilometres roughly from Melbourne. The view is quite spectacular. One benefit of the iPhone technology will be much greater control to show you what I'm looking at as we move along. These are some pristine beaches in this community, and I wanted to use this as an opportunity to be rather innovative in my efforts to provide these shorter videos to spark interest in the unit and to help us think about personality in the broadest possible sense. So I'm just going to walk on down. Where I've brought you is to the Koorie cultural walk in this region. These are the traditional hunting grounds of the Wathaurong people in this region of the surf coast, and there's a cultural walk that I intended to show you today. I hope that wind is not too noisy, and I've also just realised I had my hand over the microphone. But this is beautiful country, and I want everyone to remember throughout this unit that we're not simply learning about theories, psychological theories and behavioural theories, and learning about mental health and personality and what makes up a personality. I want us to think about it in the broadest possible terms. And that involves understanding that at all times in Australia, we're standing on land that was once owned by the Indigenous people of this country. In the case of the Geelong region, it's the Wathaurong tribe. In Melbourne, it's the Wurundjeri. And so I'm just going to show you this path I'm walking down as I come down here. I certainly encourage everyone to come down and see it for themselves if they get an opportunity. Point Addis is just a little bit past Bells Beach, about 2 surf breaks past Bells Beach. It's beautiful countryside. It's beautiful trees, as you can see behind me. Try and give you a sense of what I'm working with here. But the most important thing is these are the traditional hunting grounds of the Wathaurong people, a people that were devastated by European settlement when it arrived here. I probably should have found out the exact year. Something like the 1830s did widespread navigation of this region occur. Actually, some of the signs I want to show you coming up may give us the specific year. I do know that my hometown, Geelong, which is the second biggest major city in Victoria, it's an Indigenous name, theoretically. The Indigenous word is Geelong. And I think in some weird way it's considered some kind of weird tribute to acknowledge the Indigenous terrain in which we based our European cities. Really problematic, of course. And I think it's an important consideration for us all. Most of us come from different cultures, different religious traditions. We'll have many international students in our classroom throughout the semester. We know, for example, that some Chinese students are stuck overseas still because of the novel coronavirus. So we all come from different contexts and different backgrounds, and it's really important to understand that in Australia, we come from a background of an Indigenous history that was almost lost because of some of the actions of white settlement in this region. And it's at about this time, I think, that we must always remember that. I hope that's rather clear. I hope that's clear enough. That in this region, in Australia more generally, psychology is only one way of viewing the world. Behavioural analysis is only one way of viewing the world. In fact, just as an interesting anecdote, Osama bin Laden after 9/11 told people, it's hilarious that the West keeps trying to psychoanalyze me. They keep trying to use psychology to understand everything there is about me. What they don't understand is that lots of people throughout the world don't accept psychology as a legitimate way of viewing the world. And I just want us to have a sense of that. as I take you and show you some of the sights of this particular walk. So I'm just gonna do it like this to make sure it's all in the shot. This is one of the plaques on this walk, and it talks about some of the history of the Waltherong people that were native to this area. At the time, it reads, at the time of first European contact, about 15,000 Koories lived in Victoria. They were split into 35 clans, each with its own distinct language, culture and religious belief. Indeed, similar to that, the structure of Europe. Koories lived around Geelong, well, I think the D's silent actually, Geelong, belonged to the Waltherong, whose territory extended from Werribee River, closer to Melbourne, to the Otways, and I'm going to take you further down the coast later on this afternoon, and included Ballarat. In 1836, this is an important point, I read this today as well. In 1836, there were approximately 700 members of the clan, but by 1853, there were only 35 left. To this day, there is extraordinarily little in terms of people remaining of the Waltherong tribes, annihilated, as it were, by European settlement, a combination, as this plaque says, of direct Western intervention, killing Indigenous people as they found them, but also the introduction of diseases, smallpox, tuberculosis and STDs, massacres, and the loss of food sources due to European settlement, as a giant bug flies around me. It happens out here, and if we're really unlucky, I might see a snake as well. I'll be sure to capture it on camera if I do. I spent most of my childhood on this coast, so this is familiar terrain to me. And some of the other videos I'll show you later will extend that familiar terrain, and I'll show you some other, what I think are very interesting things related to some of the subject matter we're going to be studying this semester. I was just to show you this part as well, William Buckley, who was a convict who escaped Sorrento, somehow found his way all the way across the bay to the Otway coast and lived here for 30 years with the Indigenous people, with the Waltherong people. And later on I'm going to show you a cave at Big Hill on the Great Ocean Road where William Buckley is said to have housed himself for some time. I couldn't find any evidence online that this cave was actually a location where William Buckley stayed, but I've been told by friends from the area that is indeed a place where William Buckley was. It's hazardous coast as well. To this day, you could hide out there and no one would find you. The walk has several components. I'm going to continue up the hill. I'll pause it I'll stop this video for the time being, and we'll have a fresh video. Indeed, if I had the university software functioning, I could have paused at this time and picked up video straight from here, but I'll stop it for now. I'm going to take the Koorie walk to the top, and I'm going to show you a few other interesting elements of this walk to continue to help us think about the nature of Western culture and personality, which is something Westerners are very interested in, and how that interacts with the histories of the land and the history of the cities in which we find ourselves.